Okay, we'll call the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. This is the meeting for the month of January. And first, we'll take a roll call. I don't think anybody's missing, is there?
The only member missing is Brian Bennett, and our youth member, Luke Stanford, is not here as well. Those are the only two members who are not in attendance today.
Okay. He couldn't hear that, did you?
All right. Yeah, sorry, I didn't bring this down close enough. Mr. Brian Bennett, a board member, and Luke Stanford, our youth board member, are not in attendance today. So we have a quorum to conduct business, but not full attendance.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next point is to request of staff to see if the Kansas Open Meeting Act required notice has been properly submitted.
We have posted and provided notice of today's meeting through the city clerk's office. So we do have confirmation that we can go forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next order of business then is to review the minutes from our last meeting. And everybody should have a copy of those for the December 19th meeting. Any questions or concerns over the contents of that document? No? Then I would appreciate a motion to manage the minutes.
I move we approve the minutes from the December meeting.
Okay. Any seconds?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. It's been seconded. All those in favor of approving the minutes for the December 16 meeting, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No? Okay, the meetings are approved. The meeting minutes are approved. Our next order of business is we'll turn to the agenda, is a presentation by staff for the annual accomplishments of the board.
For
Is that correct?
the purposes of the agenda and the minutes, they should reflect that this is actually agenda item 3.1, not 3.4, as we have no other public hearing items scheduled for you today. So this would be item 3.1. And the City Commission asks that the board, that they approve and appoint members to submit an annual report of their activities. And so the City Commission is primarily interested in what the boards have been involved with, what the level of attendance is, and whether the board has a full number of appointments or not. And so we have provided for your review our records of board attendance. We've also provided for you on Exhibit B what we consider to be the current membership roster. So you should look at expiration dates on terms and residence address, and if there's any changes or updates to those, you could bring those to our attention. We pointed out in our report is last year, just in terms of applications filed, we had a total of 18 individual applications filed in 2018. In 2019, we had 9 variance applications filed. However, in January, you did consider 3 applications that were carried over from 2018. So during the course of the year, and you may have noticed it, that the meetings were not as frequent as maybe the past year. So we had 12 regularly scheduled meetings. 5 of those were held, and at those meetings, you held public hearings on 11 applications. And just by way of review and reminder, in January of 2019, there was a request associated with the planned renovation of the Missouri Pacific Railroad Depot over at the corner of North Santa Fe and Pine Street. And if you've driven by there lately, that project is progressing. And the nature of the variance was that they had parking that wasn't in the street right away. It was on their property, but it was backing directly into the street. So that variance request was approved and will allow them to put parking out in front of the building, between the building and Pine Street, that will back directly into Pine Street. You also approved a height variance for a garage on Allwood at that meeting. Just by way of reporting, we received a variance application for a proposed addition to the Mid-States Energy Works building on North Santa Fe Avenue. That variance was approved, but that property owner has not yet moved forward with any actual construction project. We'll look at that and monitor that to check whether that approval expires or has expired, but there was no building permit undertaken after that variance was approved. If you also recall, there was a property on South College where a single owner owned two houses side by side and wanted to divide off the ownership, and you approved the lot split and the lot sizes, but one of their proposals was to have one property end up with two garages and the other property with no garage, and that part of the variance this board did not approve. That property transaction has taken place. Then in August, you reviewed an application for a floodway variance at the west end of Coach Light Lane. Just for your benefit, that street name was changed to Bacta Court, and the permits for placing dirt and moving, creating building pads there have been approved, but no actual plans for building construction. And so the variance that was approved was for filling activity only, and if they do move forward with construction plans, that will have to come back to this board for further review. And then your most recent case in December, you approved a front yard setback variance to allow an expanded vestibule on a building that's proposed to be the new home of the Kansas Wesleyan School of Nursing. We would report that I think in 2018 we had a couple, and maybe a couple the year before that, but we had no sign variance requests in 2019. And then the other variances that you heard, most of those involved oversized rear yard sheds, which tends to be our most frequent application. So at this time, one of the things we've discussed with this board in the past and with the Planning Commission is we have a situation where if you have a storage shed and that storage shed is less than 120 square feet or less, you don't need a building permit for it. But this board has had to wrestle with some cases of storage sheds that were inadvertently put up in front yards because the owner didn't know, because they didn't have to get a permit. They couldn't be necessarily guided. And so what we determined is we have a number of those throughout the community, but one of the things was discussed and hasn't come to fruition yet was that to set up some sort of location permit system whereby if you're a property owner, you might not need a building permit to put up a shed of a small size, but that you still needed to have your location approved and a location permit issued. And so we were just sharing with you that was a past goal, and if the board still feels that that's a good idea, we'll pass that on. But in terms of board changes, Mr. Abner Perney's term expired at the end of August. He didn't seek reappointment. Mr. Dorsleiter was appointed to fill that position. John Olson was appointed by the mayor to serve as Planning Commission representative. And Luke Stanford was appointed as the board member. So our full board membership is 7, and we are operating with 7 appointed members. So I would take any questions you have about the cases that we summarized, if you wanted a refresher or had questions on any of those. We invite you to look at your attendance and your addresses and terms that we have there, and if you see anything that's incorrect, you can bring that to our attention. If you think you were at a meeting and we showed you absent, you can share that with us after the meeting. But one of the things that the City Commission wants to know is just that their boards are active, and boards are active if the members appointed come to the meetings. And I think if you look down the list, the attendance records for 2019 were quite good, and so I would say that this is an active board in terms of attending meetings. So with that, we'll be open to any questions you might have about the contents of our report. If you are comfortable with that, then it would just be a motion from someone on the board that we transmit this report to the City Commission on behalf of the board.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for staff? Okay, then we would entertain a motion to move this forward.
I move that we approve the presentation of the 2019 annual report as presented and move it on to the City Commission.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we have a second?
Second
Oh, we have a second. All those in favor of approving the report as given and moving it forward to the mayor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None opposed.
As far as other matters, I'll check with Dustin. I have not been, I think there's 8 residential building permits on my desk right now, but we have not had any contact with anybody. We've had a couple meetings with people wanting to do additions and things like that, but not, we don't have any, I don't anticipate that we'll have any active cases for February, but it's usually when spring comes that building activity and plans pick up, so I would anticipate something at that time, but at this time I don't anticipate that we'll have agenda items for the February meeting.
Okay. Anything from the board members? Okay, and I can see that we have no one in the audience from the general public. Did we get any mail or comments from the general public that we need to address?
Nope. We have nothing addressed to the attention of the Board of Zoning Appeals. We've gone through and we have summarized and reported the action that you took on each of those items, and we just have, as we mentioned, a couple of those where the action was taken, but actual building permit applications have not been submitted, so.
Okay. So I'm understanding there's no further action, so we would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
And second it? Okay, all those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion's passed. Thank you all very much.
Took longer to get here.
Not for me.